Oh man, what a day, what a match, what a round. Let's talk about the semifinals of the 6 Sweden Major. The first game of the day was FaZe Clan versus Damwon Kia, and the other game for the day was Ninjas in Pajamas against Rogue. This FaZe Clan versus Damwon Kia match is possibly one of the best matches I've ever seen in Siege, one of the craziest, one of the most, edge of your seat, having you kind of matches. It was insane. Based on the community predictions, FaZe were slated to lose this, which is curious. I think a lot of people just wanted to see Damwon Kia win because they are possibly the most fun team to watch in Siege at the moment. And man, did they get close, one round away. And maybe I've never seen a bigger heartbreak than what happened in that final round. And we'll talk about it in just a little bit. So let's just go through the maps really quickly. Of course, Damwon Kia won the first map 7-3. This was on Chalet, and then FaZe Clan answered back with a 7-3 on Bank. One of the biggest criticisms of Damwon Kia, or at least one of the biggest concerns about them, is their map pool. In this tournament up to this point, I think they'd only played 4 different maps, and 2 of those maps they played only once each. So they played, I think, 1 Villa and 1 Oregon, and then the rest was all Clubhouse and Coastline. So they hadn't played Chalet and they hadn't played Bank. So now they had to just show these, and then they'd only showed Oregon 1 time. So that sort of does work in their favor. They don't have much recent footage of them on these maps, but also it is, largely because they're uncomfortable on them. So, right, they when they won Chalet, it was a big shocker. I think most people, maybe not most people, I think a lot of people did think that FaZe was going to win this, and a good number of people probably also thought they would win it 2-0. Despite how good Damwon Kia looked before this point, FaZe looked, possibly indomitable. They looked incredible. This was the first non-2-0 of the playoffs. We had 4 yesterday, and then the other match of the day also ends up being a 2-0. But, right, so the Bank map, it just, looked good for FaZe, just like the Chalet map looked good for Damwon Kia. But it was the Oregon that was the true banger. All 15 rounds. And, right, let's take a look at the player stats. And look, you're telling me that this guy lost? This guy, oh my god, look at these stats. And we'll look at his overall stats as well for the tournament. And you tell me how this human being can lose a match of Siege. 1.34 KPR. I believe the current record before this in a best of 3 was a Nesk on 49 kills. And look, Yas here was 2 kills away from tying it, 3 kills away from breaking it. And at a 1.34, if they played 3 more rounds, if he kept up this KPR, he would have been on, 51 kills. They only played 35 rounds, 15 here and then 10 on each of these. If it'd been 7-4, 7-5, 8-7 or whatever, add a few rounds to either of these maps, then this dude was definitely breaking that record. He is insane. This might be the best player in the world. And I noticed that I think he sits in the middle, right? So is he the IGL? I know it's not 100% of the time that teams put their IGL in the middle. Sometimes it's whoever you want your teammates to be able to see their screen of, but I don't know why you'd want them to see his screen. It's not, he's not the guy droning, right? He's the guy killing everybody. Although when he's on the roam, maybe for intel, but I'm not sure. So, the only conclusion I'm left to draw is that he is the IGL. I do remember when Alemj went on that some podcast or other, he was talking in French, but I saw a translation of it. Somebody was giving bullet points on it anyways, and he was talking about how this team was so good, like major finals quality team, and they were 1 round away from making it, so he was totally right. And a lot of this was based on their Mexico performance, where they could have gone farther, but they definitely weren't playing as well in Mexico as they were playing at this event. And anyways, Alems at one point said something about Yas being a genius, and originally I thought that was just talking about him being the IGL, but then I looked at the team's roles and stats and stuff, and I thought, no way, this guy's the IGL, and he's putting up these numbers. But then the fact that Alem said that, and then the fact that dude's sitting in the middle, so if anybody can confirm that he's the IGL, let me know. I'm very curious. But if he is, this is, we've never seen an IGL do something like this before. There's a few fragger IGLs and some that even put up good numbers, but generally anymore, it's almost always support IGL, and maybe not just anymore, just throughout history, it's always been maybe a flex role or a support role. It's very rarely a fragger. So wow, what a performance from Yas, and just to lose the match. His teammates just were putting up such low numbers, all 3 of these guys being sub 0.5 KPR is unfortunate. Rin was doing pretty well. And okay, so I said I was going to talk about it. Let's talk about the very last round of that game. It came down to round 15, and it was just kind of a bloodbath. One of the players from FaZe peeks out from the breach. They're of course defending Oregon top floor. So the closet breach gets open, he peeks out. I think it was Astro, and he dies. It looked like he should have killed the guy, but anyways, he loses the fight. And then they trade back and forth, back and forth. It's down to a 2v2, and then I think Yas dies to a dude barely dies. He's like laying down, peeking through a hole. And then Rin kills the other player. So it's Souls, who I think had just killed Yas, versus Rin. And Rin is on, I think, full health, and then Souls is 40% health, whatever it is. And then they like see each other and they shoot, and I think Rin takes a bullet, so Rin's down to like 70% health or something. And then it's just a 1v1. There's like so much time on the clock, so it's not like Rin needs to make a play right now. You got over a minute, but of course blood pumping, it probably feels like there's 1 second left on the clock, and they just do a little bit of cat and mouse, and Souls comes out on top. So I mean, Souls won him this match. Like there's not as big of a discrepancy between his stats and the rest of his team compared to Yas and the rest of his team. But I mean, it's pretty big. Like, I mean, 0.34 to the next player, and then a whole almost 0.5 from top to bottom is pretty big. I mean, he outfragged them. Didn't really play entry, but same cost as Cameraman, so good on Cameraman. But KPR super high, survival super high, and then 1vx and plant. So that your support player is your top frag and highest KPR. Yeah, he went crazy. So that 1v1, of course, won them the match. If he had lost that 1v1, then they lose the match, and it would be Damwon Kia in the finals. And man, I'm sure a lot of people would have preferred that, especially not. It's just like sort of unexciting to see two teams from the same region in a grand final, because like you've seen the matchup before. But it's exciting in a way. Like you don't usually get to see teams from the same region play each other with such high stakes, and this just goes to prove that LATAM is easily the best region in Siege right now. 5 of the 6 finals slots this year have been filled by Latin American teams. Only Empire has been in there, and then it was Ninjas in Pajamas versus Liquid, and then it was Team 1 versus Empire, and now it's FaZe versus Ninjas. So is that 4? Ninjas, Liquid, FaZe, 1? Yeah, 4 different LATAM teams filling 5 of the spots. Insane. Yeah, no, LATAM's crazy. But that last round, man, if you're Rin, I don't know if there can ever have been a moment in Siege that makes somebody feel so badly. And it's not like it was a terrible mistake. Like, you just lose a 1v1 to a good player. It happens sometimes, but like, and you were on a little bit more health, so maybe you win. But he has the better gun for peeking off and re-peeking. You know, was he on Warden? Is that what it said? Yeah, he's on Warden. He's got an MPX, and you've got a light machine gun. And I mean, regardless of how it happened, like, just, you have to feel so terribly. Like, if you win that, your team goes to the grand finals, has a chance to win the major. Just, wow. Like, there's that time on the very same map, I suppose, Oregon, but I think it's pre-rework, right? When Canadian was on the white stairs and he like stood up, and it's not like that was a 1v1 that lost them the rest of the game, but that's where things sort of spiraled out of control for them, and Empire made a comeback, I believe, off the back of that round win. And that probably feels pretty bad. But this one, oh man, like, and I guess, again, like, you walk away from this one being like, I mean, I didn't like completely mess up, I just lost, but anyways, I guess I hammered home the point. Yeah, it just sucks. Like, I feel so badly, and it is what it is. So, right, Souls went crazy, Yas went crazy, everyone else did not go crazy, decidedly so. And I guess not too much else to say about this match. FaZe to the finals, and yeah, it's just what everyone predicted. I mean, I predicted them to win. I wanted Damwon Kia to win. I would have been very happy to be wrong on this one, but it is what it is. So let's go to the other match here. We have Rogue against Ninjas in Pajamas. It was a 2-0 in the favor of Ninjas in Pajamas, and it wasn't really close. I mean, a 7-4 and a 7-3. I mean, Rogue can go home happy, and they looked pretty happy, actually, when they did their little huddle after the game, just to, I mean, recap what happened, and maybe to celebrate their achievement a little bit, despite, you know, losing just there. But they made it very far. They exceeded everyone's expectations of them, you know, by so many degrees, and they qualified for SI, which they said was their main goal. Of course, I mean, yeah, it's a more realistic goal to have, because they only had to make it to the semifinals to do that, but of course you have to win the grand finals to win the whole thing, so easier to do that, of course. And I mean, yeah, Rogue didn't look terrible in some of the rounds, but in a few of the other rounds they looked a little bit questionable. It looked like it might be Rogue taking over, because in the first game they went up 3-0, I think, on their defense, right? And Coastline has become less attacker favorite after the rework, but it's like evenish. But I mean, you'd probably still call it an attacker favorite map if you were gonna call it one of the two. And right, they go up 3-0, and two of them were off the back of, they were just like really clutch rounds, came down to like 1v1s that Ninjas and Pajamas just ran out of time. And then but then the third one, the last one of that streak, they just won handily. It might have even been a flawless round, or like one person died or something. Does it say? Yeah, no, I guess Psycho got it too, so maybe not quite a flawless round, or close to a flawless round. Anyways, yeah, so they looked good at the beginning there, and if nothing else, even if you thought that wasn't enough for them to like really win the game, it potentially could be enough to like tilt Ninjas in Pajamas. So you know, and by that metric, maybe been enough to win the map or whatever. But it wasn't. Ninjas in Pajamas just came back. They won the next 3 in a row. They evened up the half, and then Rogue only won one more round after that, and then even more decisive victory for Ninjas on Clubhouse. So yeah, they just looked better. And I guess we'll just look at the stats, and you'll notice Rips kind of got rips apart here. You know, no other way to put it really. Julio did very well. So did Muzi, and then I mean everyone did. The other 3 players did fine. And then Kamikaze almost being above the top performer of Rogue, and it makes sense considering, you know, they have literally doubled the round wins, 14-7. So yeah, I mean, KPR's really high over here, really low over here. Prano didn't go Nucleosis like he did in some of the other games, and they really needed him to, and probably Ace as well. They needed everyone to do better, certainly, and then they did. I mean, definitely Rips needed to do better. He did very poorly, but then Prano and Aces were the 2 best players on the team coming into this point of the tournament, and they didn't really show out. Like, they didn't get destroyed, but I mean, -6, -5, it's just not too good. So right, that puts Ninjas in Pajamas and FaZe in the finals. Like I said before, it is an all LATAM finals. We see FaZe maybe finally winning something in Siege. They've had relative success in the past in that they were consistently at the top, but they can never really make it all the way in majors or anything. And Ninjas in Pajamas have the chance to win 2 titles in the same year, 1 major and 1 invitational. So let's just go back and look at the overall stats really quick. So yeah, we'll just glance at the leaderboards, and maybe I'll look at the full thing in a second. And again, like, you're telling me this guy lost? This guy who went plus 61 and 1.35 tied Alamao's rating. And you do have to keep in mind that Yas had to play, I mean, the level of competition he faced was just far, far higher than what Alamao did, because again, as we've been saying this whole tournament, Yas and Damon Kia was in the group of death, that by far the most competitive group, and then also played a whole nother game, or a whole nother match, I guess, in the playoffs. They played against Sandbox, and then they now played against FaZe, and again, lost by just 1 round, whereas Alamao just fell 2-0 to Rogue in the semis, and got to pad his stats a little bit in groups, so he tied him up. But I mean, look at this, like, plus 16, plus 33. Like, Alamao, I think, had still a 1.6 KD for the whole tournament, but I mean, it matters not. It's like a, what is it for Yas though? This is like a 1.6 something, isn't it? Maybe higher, 1.7. 1.7, yeah, I think it's like 1.7 something, 1.75 ish, around there. Anyways, better KD. Entry plus 13, that's crazy. Cost, we'll look at it right here. His cost is not quite on here, but 72% you might have noticed there, 73% here, so he's just off the board. Might be a few players above him, also on 73, but not in the top 5. And then clutches, also not in here, or plants, but I mean, regardless, plus 13, plus 6, yeah, insane. And I guess there's not really anything else for me to talk about on the day. I didn't want to go like too fine point into any of the maps, and I mean, I guess maybe I could have, but I think you got the gist of what went on. And here's the schedule for tomorrow, 4:30 Central European time. The stream starts. This would be at, I guess, 10:30 in the morning Eastern, 7:30 in the morning Pacific, and then there is a Rainbow Six extraction reveal panel, whatever it is. I mean, they showed the game off before, but they're showing something additional at this point, I suppose. So that is at 11, and then at 11:30 Eastern time, we'll see the grand final, Ninjas in Pajamas versus FaZe, and within a few hours, we will crown a major champion and a new major champion, because neither of these have ever won a major. Of course, Ninja Pajamas winning SI, but neither of them winning a bona fide major. So looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. And with all of that being said, I will catch you in the next video.